Hey gang, it's Stuart. This is part 7 and 8 of our 8-part series on the select menu in Audacity. Reason being that as I got to looking back at my schedule and plan for the series, I realized that I had duplicated one of the areas. So our 8-part series is actually 7, so this is the final. So let's get over into Audacity. We're going to take a look at the select menu and the option for @0 crossings today. This is something that I've talked about before in previous editions of Stuart's Audacity Tips, but I wanted to wrap up the series here so we have complete coverage of the select menu and show this tip real quickly. So what I've done here is generate a sine wave using the generate menu, so generate tone, and this is just an A440 tone that lasts for a second. Okay, so I want to go to a place that's, I don't know, about 60% of the way along the waveform. About there should be good. And I'm going to zoom in on that spot until I can see the waveform. And I'm going to make a selection that purposely starts at a place where the waveform is above 0 and ends at a place where the waveform is below 0 down in a trough. The reason I'm going to do that is to show what happens if I cut that audio out. The waveform immediately has this vertical drop, this immediate drop from the highest point in the waveform to the lowest point in the waveform. And if we zoom out on that, we can see that this really nice regular pattern of the waveform, the sine wave that is so beautiful and perfect, now has this odd spot in it, right? An ugly point. And if we jump to the beginning and play it back at about 6/10 of the way through the second, we're going to hear it. So you can hear a tick, and it's an ugly interruption to the tone, that tick, okay? So I'm going to undo the removal of that audio and zoom back in. And now I'm going to use the select @0 crossings option, and watch what happens when I do that. Audacity changes the selection just a tiny little bit so that now it begins and ends at places where the waveform crosses 0. In other words, at 0 crossings. So now the waveform is rising into 0 as the selection begins, and as the selection ends, it's rising away from 0, right? So the result of now doing this edit, if I cut that out, we now have a smooth waveform. There's no immediate drop across 0 at that point. And if I zoom out from that to a regular pattern, we can see that that regular pattern is not disrupted. And if I jump back to the beginning and play it again, there's no longer a tick. We have the same edit, but there's no tick in there. So that's what the select @0 crossings option is good for, to prevent that kind of unwanted tick in your edits. And it's just part of my regular routine. Anytime I'm going to do an edit of any kind, I make my selection. Before I do any deletion, I like the shortcut, so I hit Z for @0 crossings and then do my cut, and no ticks. Just make sure that I don't introduce any unwanted noise in a simple edit. I'm Stuart. Hope this helps.